What's up, YouTube? Back out here in the wood shop. Gonna do a quick video today, not as long as my last few. Done a few talking points here. I'm gonna try something a little different today. We're gonna talk about something trending. We're gonna do the daily distraction. We'll bring up something interesting that's in the news. Some hypocrisy in the government. Could be Democratic, could be GOP, could be both. And finally we're gonna go over some bullshit that Biden had said, not too long ago, last year, of course, at this point, but, something that he had said and just kind of elaborate on some of his bullshit claims. Because, you're not going to get it anywhere else except for small little channels like ours and, the bigger ones that I subscribe to, obviously. They do a lot of this kind of stuff as well. But you're not going to get it, you're not going to get it on CNN. You're not going to get it on MSNBC or any of that. I'm shooting this video in horizontal. My editor-in-chief, AKA my son, was mortified that the last 4 videos I shot, because it's been a bit since I was filming, but the last 4 videos that I shot in vertical. And he was mortified, but I don't want to reshoot them, so I apologize for them being vertical, and I got it together now, and they will be horizontal from this point on, if I shoot from my iPhone. All right, so where are we at? Today is actually Monday. I don't know what day this will go out, but it's like Monday the 2nd or something. Trending, what's trending? Probably the biggest 2 stories trending right now are, and this one makes me happy, the Idaho Killer was found in the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania. So now there's families, well, not yet. I mean, obviously they have to go through this, the tragicness and relive the horrors, what will be the trial and whatnot. Until justice is served, but at least there's like the beginning of closure, I guess. However, his family is standing up and saying that he's innocent, presumption of innocence, And I found it interesting too that he was studying criminal justice I think at a different college, not the University of Idaho, but he was in the criminal justice program somewhere. So he had some kind of goal to do something or be something. And it almost makes you wonder, like, maybe just too many episodes of SBU or, any of those Criminal Minds TV shows, that people love to watch. Maybe he was just trying to prove that he could get away with it, and that was going to somehow make him a better whatever he was going to school for. I don't know. I'm just speculating because, that's what I do. The other thing that's trending is the Pope that died. The German one, forget his name. I'm Catholic too, so it's terrible, I know. But he's lying in state right now, as they call it, whatever that means. I think that just means he's in his casket. And visitors, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, are going to pass through the Vatican over the course of the next few days to pay their last respects to the Pope, to the former Pope. And the current Pope is the one, I guess, that's doing the eulogy and whatnot for this Pope, which makes sense. Obviously, you would think that that's how that would go down. But yeah, so they're the 2 things that are trending pretty hard right now. And then like if you turn on any channel or look at any news, mainstream media, legacy media, whatever you want to call it, thing right now, there's always something trending about January 6th and whatever they called that. I forget now, but whatever. Daily distraction today. Ukraine says that they killed hundreds of Russian troops with a barrage of missiles that they shot at a Russian-occupied city in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure it was in Ukraine. it wasn't across the border into Russia. But they're claiming hundreds of dead Russian soldiers, and Russia is claiming 63. And then the news is also saying that Russia, before the bombing or the whatever missile strike, had a really, really large missile strike that they shot into Ukraine. And Ukraine is saying that there was only one casualty, which seems unlikely. Somehow, that's just the way that the news works, though. They're going to roll out and tell you they're just constantly trying to feed you during this war how Russia's ineffective and their army's obsolete, and how well Ukraine is doing, and what great gutsy fighters they all are, and Russia's losing the war over and over again. How Ukraine is unexpectedly winning the war that nobody thought they could win. But yeah, I had an interesting conversation with my son today. We were talking about Lex Friedman. I don't know if you guys are fans of Lex Friedman or not, and I wasn't until very recently. But he runs a podcast, and he's a pretty intelligent guy, very intelligent guy, and he does some great interviewing. Excuse me. And one of the people that he announced that he's going to be interviewing shortly is Vladimir Putin. He has an interview scheduled with Vladimir Putin. Now, Lex Friedman, I believe, is Russian, like a Russian Jew, actually. I don't know if he speaks Russian. I kind of assume he does. But he's going to interview Vladimir Putin, which my son and I got into an argument about it because he doesn't think that anybody's going to watch it because it'll probably be in Russian. But I said it would be subtitled. And I think a lot of people would watch it because I think there's a lot of people in the world that are really interested in what's going on in Ukraine. And since the only news that we get is news of the tens of billions of dollars that we're just constantly sending to them so that they can launder that money back to our politicians, and line their pockets with it and whatnot, and they can use that money to buy weaponry from us so that our large corporations and the military industrial complex can continue to grow, and profit and make other politicians' families richer and richer and richer, blah, blah, blah. Just keeps going. But yeah, so Lex is going to interview him, and I think it would be an interesting thing because I have this idea or this thought that I think Lex is like, maybe this is personal Lex, and he wants to have this conversation because he's trying to get to the bottom of it and maybe establish, like, from Vladimir Putin himself, what do you need to have happen to negotiate peace, a peace deal, and to stop the war? Because as far as I can tell, nobody's asked Vladimir Putin that question. And, Vladimir Putin's generals and whatnot are all mouthy and all talking shit all the time. And I'm not saying that I think that's good or right. But I mean, I also think they have to. It's like because the rest of the world's media is downplaying the impact that Russia has had in this war. And they're making it out there that how Ukraine is winning it with nothing, with nobody, with no resources and they have a shit ton of resources, but they act like they're just like grandmas and grandpas out there with pitchforks and shovels, and they're beating the big bad Russian army. So Lex, I think, he's probably going to ask some pretty tough questions, as he does with all of his guests, and see what it's going to take to negotiate a peace deal. And I think that the media and the United States government will probably reject it. And there could be some kind of backlash towards Lex after this, I think. They're going to call him a Russian apologist and all the same stuff they said about Tulsi Gabbard. If he gives a platform to Vladimir Putin to speak on, to express his feelings on this war, why this war has taken place, and what's necessary to end the war. But yeah, like I said, nobody's willing to have that conversation or ask those questions. I know that a year ago or so, or just a little less than a year ago, there was a time where Ukraine was trying to negotiate a peace deal with Russia and a ceasefire. And Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, went there and and basically shut it down. I was like, no, there will be no peace deals. You know, you'll have the full backing of America and Britain and NATO, and you're going to beat you're going to beat Russian aggression and win this war that Vladimir Putin has, you know, has posed on you. Somehow that's better than peace. I don't know. What else? Oh, so yeah, so in the news today they're downplaying the Russian impact of their bombing campaign, but they're playing up the campaign that Ukraine did to Russia and the people that died. And all I can think to myself is, if Ukraine's shot a bunch of missiles and whatnot, I'm going to say $100 billion will get you that. You know, $100 billion of U.S. taxpayer dollars will buy some pretty fancy weaponry and some, some thermal heat-seeking stuff and whatnot, so you can see where people are and blow up their locations. All right, so I'm gonna move on to some what I consider interesting news. This is kind of like satirical, a little interesting, a little sad at the same time. And I think I touched on it the other night. But like California's in a state of emergency right now over the rain. And there's another storm coming through that's gonna dump even more rain. And the whole West Coast is like freaking out over, they call it a deluge, an atmospheric river. These fucking words that they make up, or these terms. But yeah, so it's a state of emergency right now. After they just go from one state of emergency to another, I think, you know. They had a COVID state of emergency, they got a homeless state of emergency, they had a drought state of emergency, and now we've got a water state of emergency, you know. I'm wondering if the Orville Dam is gonna hold up during all this. I wonder how the Hoover Dam is, that Lake Mead and Lake whatever. I wonder what they're looking like this time of year with the amount of water that's falling. All summer long, every single day, there were these constant barrage of pictures about how low the lakes were. But now they're getting some rain, and the bitches are probably full, and not a peep from the media. You know, there's nothing in it to scare us, so they won't talk about it. But yeah, so they're about to get another storm come through, and everybody's freaking out because, you know, it's a state of emergency and climate change, and we've never seen weather like this in our recorded history. And of course, we've seen weather like this, but people's I don't know what it is. I know the intelligence in the world is just, a lot of it is like non-existent anymore. People are just not bright. You know, they're too dependent on their technology and their news programs and news sources that they use that think for them, so that they don't have to actually do any critical thinking on their own. They don't. I just don't trust people's opinions anymore. You know, people's opinions are like nonsense. You don't. I don't know. They don't have any like rational, original thought. You know. Hypocrisy. All right, so in terms of hypocrisy right now, I just want to bring up this. Biden's saying that 2022 was a success. Great jobs numbers, greatest economy, great leadership, right? All the things that the President of the United States you would expect out of the President of the United States. Only thing is, he didn't give us any of that, you know? We're the weakest we've ever been. The jobs report, they lied about, and they had to admit lying about it. Great economy. We have the worst economy that we've had since 2008 right now. And every economist out there says that we've been in a recession for the last 3 quarters, even though the administration won't admit that we're in a recession. We've been in a recession. But he's on TV talking about how great the economy is, you know. And the Inflation Reduction Act, which has not reduced inflation at all and hasn't benefited any Americans up to this point. You know, because in reality, he's not a great leader. And I don't want to bash him because I don't like him or something like that. I just think he's an insincere, untrustworthy career politician who lies through his teeth, and always has been lying in office for 40 years, you know? It's why we should have term limits. It's why he shouldn't be in there. I just don't, like, I'm waiting for it to come back around. I'm sure we'll hear it again soon when he announces that he is going to run for the 2024 presidential election as that make you the incumbent? I guess he'll be the incumbent. He'll start talking about, oh yeah, and we're going to cure cancer, right? He said it 3 times. This is why it's hypocrisy. He said it 3 times in the last 2 years or 3 years. He did it one time on stage during one of the debates. He said that he promised that he got elected president, he would cure cancer during his presidency. And then he did it again while he was president. And he did it again recently on one of these weekends, on one of these, like, I think that thing he did in Pennsylvania, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where he had all that dark red lighting behind him. I'm pretty sure in that, I don't know if that was a state, it wasn't supposed to be State of the Union, it was supposed to be something though. I think he, again, tripled down and said that he was on the verge of curing cancer. And another thing that's interesting, I had this thought last night, it just occurred to me. And are any of you familiar with the, all right, so I got a new Apple Watch, right? And I love it. It's really cool, it does all the stuff, the new stuff. It tells me my oxygen rate, percentage, tells me can check my heart for arrhythmia, can give me my resting heart rate. It does a lot of things. You can do an ECG or an EKG, something on you as well. I mean, it's really brilliant technology. But with that said, this thing is, so I'm doing in my health thing, I'm doing the sleep tracker, and I'm checking out my sleep in the morning to see, what kind of sleep I'm getting. And evidently I get about 50 minutes of deep sleep at night. Everything else I get is core sleep. And I'm up quite a bit. Like, I was up for 2.5 hours twice this week so far, in the middle of the night, straight through, 2.5 hours. But it's a great piece of technology, and they really do have a focus on your health. I can see this thing going even further. And they rolled a lot of stuff out in this version, but I think they could do better. I think they will do better. I think they're soft rolling the technology to keep people buying them. So I imagine that more is going to come out after this year. But I do think that the technology that they do have is impressive. And however, it's somewhat annoying. Like, it's bossy. I'm working in the garage yesterday. It's telling me the environment's too loud. Today I was working with my son. We were on a job and we were hanging some shiplap. I was using the miter saw, and again, it's like nudging me, telling me my environment's too loud. And then a lot of times, just out of the blue, it'll be like, time to stand. Like, it's bossy. It tells me at 4 o'clock in the morning every night, it's time to stand. And I couldn't figure out why, but actually my son seems to think that because that's the time period I'm awake, because the watch knows I'm awake during that time period and I haven't gotten up, it's telling me that it's time to stand, which that could be the case. I found it interesting though. But I'm like, this technology is amazing, like the things that they're doing. And then if you lose your AirPods, right? Your AirPods are all part of your Apple stuff. These things can ping themselves and tell you where they are. I'm talking about $170 pair of headphones, right? You could like leave them at your friend's house or leave them on the bus or leave them in your car, or lose them down your couch. As long as they're in the case, and you lost the whole thing, you can get them to like have a chime, and so that you can hear it, and you can track them on your phone, like Find My Friends. It'll take you to your AirPods. And I'm like, that is super wild and amazing. And all I can think when I saw that was, we should never have one more abducted child in the world. If fucking Apple can track their headphones wherever, we should never ever lose a child to kidnapping again. The technology is there. I can buy AirTags for my tools, and then somebody could steal them, and my phone will take me to where my tool is. With that said, shouldn't we be solidifying the idea that we can never lose a kid to a child abduction again? Right? We can find them anywhere in the world. We can find my headphones, so we should be able to find a kid. So, his success speech, great jobs, great economy, great leadership. It's just all bullshit is what it is, He was on stage not too long ago during one of his dumb speeches talking about, and he was really, really passionate about it. And he was like, we beat Big Pharma. We beat Big Pharma, right? He was screaming at like the top of his frail lungs. He was like super excited to let us know that he thinks that they beat Big Pharma. And I was like, I wonder what that means, you beat Big Pharma. Are you talking, because the prescription drug prices haven't come down. Are you talking about the cap that you guys tried to put on insulin? I mean, I thought it was a great idea. And the Democrats may have pushed it through, but the Republicans were like, nah, fuck that. You're not paying $35 a month for insulin. You can pay $250 a month for insulin. And like that shit got wiped out. Got taken out of their omnibus deal or whatever they had, But yeah, he's talking about how great everything is. And it's all bullshit. He's a liar, and he's a career politician. And in regards to beating Big Pharma, first off, fucking Pfizer owns the news media. You can't watch a news program in any commercial break here in America without seeing, count them, at least 2 of the commercials are Pfizer drugs, Pfizer drug commercials, right? At least 2 of every commercial break is Pfizer. So Pfizer basically owns the news media, They buy the most time for advertising, so they get to control the narrative, help control the narrative of the things that, got said. And I will remind you of this. We just went through the tragedy that was COVID. The super flu, as some people are calling it. And it sucked to have it. I've had it. But I will say this. If your claim is that you beat Big Pharma, previous to the vaccine being rolled out, Moderna was 10 years old, and Moderna has never been a profitable company. Not 1 year has Moderna ever turned a profit. And in 1 year alone with COVID vaccine, they were able to wipe out all of their losses in the history of their company losing money. In one stroke, in one season, basically, because of the vaccine, they turned everything around and became a Fortune 500 company on the Forbes list and blah, 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 That's, if you think that that's beating Big Pharma by creating new billionaires in the pharmaceutical industry and more powerful entities that get to tell our FDA what they're going to do and when they can investigate and when they can, do site visits and they don't have to report any of the findings or the, or any of the things that when people got hurt from taking a vaccine. You know, like I don't, I don't think you beat Big Pharma. I think Big Pharma's winning, as I always thought Big Pharma was winning. You know, I mean, every once in a while you get a doctor who like is bright and out there and starts talking about, you know, what went on with COVID and the injustices and stuff that went along with it. But yeah, it's pretty wild that he can sit back there and deem this as a success, you know. All right, YouTube, getting tired, long day. Up on a scaffold earlier today, hanging drywall. And then my son was on the scaffold all afternoon, hanging shiplap on a ceiling. I'm getting tired, getting ready for bed. So until my next video, please like and subscribe. Please share my video with, you know, your friends and family and anybody who you think is a like-minded individual. You know, I'll try to bring the energy on the next video, but as you can tell, I'm running out of steam. See ya.